Hey everybody, I'm Stephen Daniels, and I'd like to welcome you to the Talk of Santa Clarita, the original podcast exclusively about Santa Clarita and the surrounding valley. We try to do these podcasts every week, with the caveat that sometimes life does get in the way, like last week. So please keep checking out all the social networking stuff and the website to know when the latest episode goes up. Also, we invite you to call or text us and let us know your thoughts on a particular show. Your comments may even be played on a show in the future. To leave comments, please call or text 661-505-8672. That's 661-505-8672. This is episode 109 with the creator and cast of AIRMEN, the web series, which is being shot here in Santa Clarita. How many of you remember Xanthe Pajarillo, otherwise known as the McRib Girl? She was a CalArts student who went before the Santa Clarita City Council to ask their help in getting the McRib to return to the local McDonald's. Xanthe wrote songs, made a short documentary, and even led a protest demanding the return of the McRib. Say what you will about Xanthe's quest, but no one can deny that she succeeded in what she set out to do. The McRib returned to McDonald's last year as a direct result of Xanthe's efforts. Now, why am I telling you this? Because Xanthe has since graduated from CalArts and has a new project which she is working on. It's the web series called AIRMEN, about the lives of typical people who serve our country. Xanthe is the creator, writer, and director for the series. The website for the series describes the show as a comedy drama set in the fictional Air Force facility, Matlavich Air Force Base, which is Air Force's premier pilot training facility, and also the most boring place imaginable. The characters manage their interpersonal relationships, jobs, the politics of military culture, all while trying to maintain a sense of self. AIRMEN was awarded an honorable mention from the Tim Disney Prize for Excellence in the Storytelling Arts in 2017. The prize recognizes the courage and commitment to make the world a better place and the originality to do it through the unique powers of gifted storytelling. Xanthe, a veteran herself, has also chosen to do something somewhat unique with the casting. All the major cast members are actual veterans. When I found out about the series and that Xanthe was the creator, I knew I wanted to do a show about it. She and the cast crammed into the oh-so-small Talk of Santa Clarita studios, and we talked about the show, the roles each member of the cast plays, being a veteran, and an assortment of other things. I have to tell you honestly, when I first met Xanthe almost 2 years ago, and we talked about the McRib, I didn't know what to make of her. But having gotten to know her and talking to the cast, I have every confidence that AIRMEN is going to be a series to watch. Xanthe has shot 4 episodes and is looking for additional funding to complete the project. If you're interested in donating, you can do so by going to the website www.seedandspark.com/fund/airmen. As always, we do not edit these podcasts, so what happens, what is said, which of course doesn't make for perfection every time, but it is always an open and honest conversation. And just a reminder to everyone out there, the Talk of Santa Clarita does not have sponsorships, and no money is exchanged for doing these podcasts. We are not part of any other media organization and operate completely and totally independently. These podcasts are simply provided as a public service to the SCV. We hope you're enjoying them. So with that out of the way, let's get talking.
Radio Free Santa Clarita presents The Talk of Santa Clarita, a podcast about issues involving Santa Clarita and the surrounding valley. Episode 109, the creator and cast of AIRMEN, the web series. And now, let's see what the Talk of Santa Clarita is.
And remember, this is for posterity, so be honest.
Okay, wow. We are having a party here at the Talk of Santa Clarita studios. A record number of people. I do believe we are violating fire codes. So, but I do want to thank all of you for being here. We have, to my right, the legendary Xanthe Pajarillo, which I have finally learned to pronounce the name properly. Yeah, she gave me a thumbs up there. Otherwise known as, forgive me for saying, the McRib Girl. Which is, our listeners know you as. And do you know you still have the most popular podcast of all my podcasts? Out of 110 podcasts, congressional debates, and interviews, you are the most popular podcast I've ever done.
Wow, I'm honored.
I think it's like seven people. So we call it the Santa Clarita 7 that listen to the podcast. So, And then we have, let's go around the room here. Your name is Sir.
I'm Brandon Alonso.
Okay, and?
Blue Lindsay.
Blue Lindsay.
I'm Chloe Mondesier.
And Jason Barlin.
And we have all these are 4 wonderful actors and veterans that are part of Xanthe Pajarillo's new show, AIRMEN, the web series, correct? Which is why we're here. Yes, okay. So first of all, let's catch up on you, Xanthe. How have you been? What's been going on in your life since the last time? We talked about a year ago, right? About you brought the McRib back. You did a new song, and did you graduate from Cal Arts?
Yes, last year I graduated from Cal Arts with my photography and media degree. So woohoo!
And this is what you're doing now. This project.
Yes, well, it started at Cal Arts, but lately we've been shooting more. So right now we have that campaign on Seed and Spark where we're trying to raise funds for 9 episodes.
For 9 episodes, and
yes.
It's a web series, right? It's got, let's talk about, let's just kind of get the bare bones about what it is. It's called AIRMEN, the web series.
It's called AIRMEN.
Just AIRMEN.
Yeah, it's a web series, and it's called AIRMEN.
So obviously it will be on the web. How long are 9 episodes? How long are each episode? It's going to be.
Well, actually, there are 4 in post right now, and 9 to shoot. So it's basically overall would be like a feature-length web series.
So like 120 minutes total, or
well, less than that, but like a shorter version.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Where did you get the inspiration for doing it yourself? I mean, I think a lot of people, they know you with having the pink hair and championing the McRib. But what I found really fascinating about you is you are a veteran, right? And
yes.
you served in the Air Force, correct?
Yes, the Air Force. But I grew up an Army brat.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad, so I grew up in that lifestyle already, but it was the last thing on my radar. I was an artist ever since I was a kid. But during high school, there was a recruiter outside my cafeteria. Mm-hmm. So I just thought, let's just talk to them, see what it's like. And I ended up joining. And my dad...
Really? Was that easy?
Yeah, well, there was like a couple of things. Like I wanted to... First of all, it was a challenge. And I also wanted to do something greater than... Do something bigger than myself, pretty much. And when I joined, my dad, being an Army retiree, said, just don't join the Army. Join the Air Force.
Join the Air Force, right. Well, they've got the drones. So what did you do when you were in the Air Force? What was
I was health service management, so 4AO, a paper pusher, that kind of thing. But I worked in outpatient records, information systems, commander support staff. They toss you around a lot of different places in the clinic.
Where were you stationed at?
Laughlin Air Force Base in Del Rio, Texas. Okay.
And then tell me what the series is about. And guys, I am going to go around the room. You're all okay.
Take your time.
You sit there with your arms folded. You gotta go. What are we here for? No, but I mean, tell me about what is the show exactly? What is it about and things?
Yeah. So AIRMEN is about a group of Air Force troops navigating life and career during peacetime operations. And the whole idea is to show who veterans are beyond their uniforms. Because a lot of these Hollywood movies, they always represent veterans as either like war heroes or PTSD victims or even killing machines. And I just felt like this isn't like who we are. We're people too, and I want this to be a way for us to come together in a sense. Like civilians and veterans should be together and not divided.
Okay. I thought it was one of the things I noticed when I was reading over your, I guess you call it a pitch or whatever it is, your material about it. You talked about the lives of the people being a little bit more than just the cliche itself. Like, I mean, give me some examples of what you mean by that. I mean, I thought one of the things I thought about was that you brought out people being gay or different things like that. Can you just tell me a little bit more about the characters and stuff? Like, what I mean, what you know what I'm saying? What kind of roles are these people playing?
Okay, yeah, so the first thing about it is, like I said, it's focusing on who these people are. So,
right.
Like, for example, Airman Magat, she is a black Filipino, and she's kind of figuring out who she is and, like, joining a place where she feels like she belongs. And she has a crush on this lieutenant, which is, if you're familiar with how the military lifestyle is, officer and enlisted relationships are forbidden. and that happens all the time, and I never see it. So I wanted to bring that issue into light. And Airman Bates is the gay airman who's in a long-distance relationship with a civilian. So there's some episodes about that, like how it is to date a active duty member. And Airman Jaden, who's a security forces troop who is Mormon, just came off a fresh stint of being a missionary when he was young. And so dealing with this whole entire new culture, and I don't want to give away, I'm always stopping myself as far as saying too much, but how he deals with personal struggles and his upbringing versus where he is now.
All right, and these are the actors that are playing those characters, correct?
Yes.
So Chloe.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me your perception of the character? First of all, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas.
Yes, the most patriotic state in the world.
and I think it's interesting that, I mean, the four of you that are sitting here are all veterans yourselves, as well as actors.
Yes.
And that was a conscious choice on your part, right, Xanthe? I mean,
Yes. So when I was doing casting for Airmen, I specifically mentioned that you must be a veteran because I wanted to work with people who understood the world, and we could also share our experiences and bring that authenticity to the story. Because, again, bringing up the way Hollywood represents, they tell stories that they don't understand, and it's creating these stereotypes. So I say, let veterans tell their stories.
And it's also frustrating as a veteran to watch a film because we know what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
So we'll pinpoint every little thing we see that's
so,
wrong.
So you don't go to a war film with you.
Yeah,
that's
we're
what
like,
you're saying.
it's not true. Like,
that couldn't happen.
There's no
couldn't
bullets
happen.
in that magazine, or those ribbons are wrong.
What's a movie that annoys you a lot?
I don't have one specific one that do you guys?
Not really. It's kind of all over the place.
Is it?
And yeah, it's like I was watching this show with my dad, and he's Army, and we couldn't watch it because the hair was totally wrong. the stuff, like their jackets were open. It was really awful.
Suspension
to watch.
of belief.
You can't unsee it. You can't not know.
All I have to say is you must be a lot of fun to go see a Marvel film with then. Guys can't climb walls. Guys can't climb walls. People can't fly.
No, that's not personal. This is very personal. You know, my
Okay.
uniform, it has to be a certain way.
Well, let's go around the room and just have each of you kind of give your perception of the character. And well, first of all, Chloe, you're from Dallas.
Yes.
And what is the where were you in the Air Force as well?
No, I was in the Marines.
Marines.
Yes, I was ammunition technician.
I'm going to be almost a little sexist here and just say you're very pretty for a Marine.
Thank you. I hear it all the time.
Really? Okay. Well, okay.
There are lots of
now I feel terrible.
beautiful Marines.
No, and both guys and girls. No, I mean there is. You guys talk about stereotypes,
Yes.
and the stereotypes of a Marine is as my father would call them, jarheads. You know, because
Yes.
he's an Army guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, and here you are with the makeup and the hair, and just you're a very attractive person.
Thank
so
you.
not what I would expect initially from a stereotypical Marine.
Yeah.
So did you see action?
I was deployed to Iraq in a combat zone, but I'm an ammunition tech, so I'm in the rear giving guys their ammo.
Smart place to be.
To fight.
Yeah.
I did take a few convoys, but thankfully it was very safe.
How long were you in Iraq?
7 months.
7 months.
Yes.
I have to ask, just because you were in Iraq, did you other guys see action? Wow, nodding your heads and
yeah.
Wow. Okay. You know what? Honestly, I get freaked out by the concept of a latrine. So the idea of actually seeing action, it just astounds me. So kudos to all of you guys. How did you feel about the politics of the war? I mean, did you think about it or?
This is something that's really interesting. Most people, when they go in, they're very young and not really interested in politics at all. So a lot of us were just blind. We're doing what we're told, and that's it. And then after you get older, of course, I served 4 years and I got out, and then I started to understand what was going on in the world around me. So, but by that time,
okay,
it was a little late.
And did you always want to be an actor?
Actually, no. I grew up making jewelry and paintings. I was in the arts, but not so much acting. My senior year in high school, I took an acting class, and it was fun, but no big deal. When I went to college, I took another theater class, which is where I really thought, I like this, but then I joined the Marines. So never really thought about it.
Well, how did you end up
afterwards.
out here to do acting?
After I got out of the military, I had a baby, had a divorce, and I just wanted to do something for myself. And that was the one thing that I could remember that I really enjoyed. And so I tried it out, and I did well with it in Dallas. And I was like, hey, let's go to Hollywood and be a movie star. And I just moved, and hey, here I am.
Tell me about your character a little bit more. I mean,
Okay, AIRMEN McGat is very much like myself.
Okay.
Kind of a peacemaker. She's like the mama bear of her group. She wants to keep everybody happy and sane, and she's like the glue that keeps everybody together. She's really quirky and sometimes awkward.
Okay.
And I'm trying not to give away anything, but I think her character is pretty funny without trying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Jason, right?
Yes.
Jason, the CalArts grad as well.
Yeah.
Hey,
guys, listening.
Let's first of all, you were in the you're a vet too. What were you? What role did you play?
I enlisted first out of college, and I was an administrator. But I was fortunate enough to work with the general when I got stationed, and then he kind of just literally forced. He was a 2-star general at the time, and he kind of just forced my package into the 1-star general's desk. Like, make this. He handwritten. I'll never forget it. I was like, oh my god, I'm so privileged. He hand wrote to the 1-star general, select him, and within a blink of an eye, I was already in officer boot camp.
Nice.
So that's the short version. And then as a Marine officer, got deployed, and I was in aviation support. So basically, when people would get shot up, I'd be like, hey, dude, call some planes. I'm like, yeah, we should call some planes.
You make your job sound like really hard.
I mean, it's been so long, and, honestly, I can't speak for the other vets, but you kind of just, you try to remove yourself from it, which is my segue into being an actor, because it gives you an escape. And I don't know if that's necessarily healthy in terms of, like, not confronting, I guess, demons, so to speak. But I get to laugh more, and that's always enjoyable.
That's good. It's like therapy.
Yeah, therapy, theater, that's to each his own. Why people are actors.
The theater is probably cheaper. Right?
Yeah.
Until you deal with the CalArts loans.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, CalArts, if you're listening.
Yeah. What is? Tell me about your character. And
Second Lieutenant Anders. I try to remove my own experience and try to create a unique one for this character, but I've only shot once. And as far as I know, he's like a pretty standard Air Force officer, wants to do well. He's a good officer, which is really not the case. Well, there's minimal cases where officers in the military, in my experience, have been, I guess, bad apples. I was a good apple in the Marines.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
But as far as Lieutenant Anders, I guess he can sense that one of his members in his unit is starting to like him, and he doesn't kind of know what to do. And I guess I'll leave it there, keep it suspense. Will they or won't they, kind of thing.
I'm already on the edge of my seat wondering. Blue, you're next. Now, you're the one that was in the F. Gary Gray film, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Straight Outta Compton.
Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
You played Easy's brother? Is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So I was in the Navy. I was a CB. So it's not like regular Navy. That's what we call it.
Can you lean in just a little bit more so we can hear you
Regular
better?
Navy is what we call Big Navy.
Big
And I was
Navy.
part of this group called the CBs, which is like the construction part of the Navy.
Right.
So my job was a builder. I stayed in 8.5 years.
8.5 years?
8.5 of my life.
I like how you're like, oh, God, 8.5.
I was going to stay in for 4, but I didn't stay anything for any particular special reason other than I made rank. And when you see that price gap, you're just like, well, I got a new kid and new money, so I'm going to stay in. So I stayed in, went to Afghanistan 3 times. Had
3
3
times?
tours. Yeah.
Didn't you learn your lesson the first time around?
Nope. No. This was fun. Let's go back. So I did that. And then I got out. While I was in, I just pursued acting, so I'm going to just talk about them both in the same, I guess.
Yeah.
I was pursuing acting while I was
Yeah.
active duty. And then I just noticed no one would work with me because they're like, well, you obviously have a bigger obligation. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. So when I got out, that's when I stayed out here, started pursuing acting. I'm originally from the Midwest, Chicago and Wisconsin. So coming out here, it was definitely different, weather-wise, people-wise.
It is kind of a culture shock. I'm from Kentucky, and I was really. It took a little while to adjust. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's cool. So I stayed, and I forgot where the question started, but yeah.
I mean, just tell me about your character that you play.
So Bates. So much like what Chloe was saying, the character he's pretty close to me, as far as like personality and like I guess character wise. Like when I was in, I was basically. We have gun-ho people, and then we have non-gun-ho people.
Yeah.
Someone gun-ho is just, I'm really in it. I'm going to follow every rule. So I was kind of like, I was very bad at being a military person, I think. But I was always in a leadership position.
Right.
And the reason I like, I would say I vibe with Bates a lot is for me, he seems like he has a lot of leadership qualities about himself, and that's like his mindset-wise and things like that. So... So Bates, he's basically that. He has a little bit more of a temper than myself. I wouldn't say I have a temper or anything, or I would go off on people, so to speak. So, but he as far as difference, he has a little bit of that. But other than that, we're pretty much I like Bates. He's charismatic, but he speaks his mind.
Okay.
Me and Magat, we're best friends.
Okay. I got to ask you about your name, Blue. I mean, that's really unique.
So, small story, just so we can get to... Take up all your time, brother.
The guy in the rebel hat back there in the back.
Take all your time, brother. So my mom, this was my brain. When I was growing up as a kid, I only asked my mom to buy me blue, black, or white clothes.
Yeah.
So, my name is Benny. I'm named after my dad. So this is the only podcast that knows this, y'all. So if this might be
exclusive.
Might be a trivia question later. So I was never called that. So the nickname eventually became Blue because that's all people would see me in. So when I
was just going to say, or it could have been very bizarre because they could have, blue, black, or white. You could have been black, or even stranger, white.
Was in the military. One of my close friends, he black guy. His name was White. He was like, we call him White. So I was like, I was blue. He was white.
That's funny. And the guy with the rebel hat.
Yes.
Tell me about your time in the military.
All right. Like Blue, I was Navy as well, and. I think that, I never expected to go into the military, really.
Yeah.
The first time I had done any acting was in high school in my senior year. Me and a buddy put together a short film, and it did really well.
Where was this at? Where did you grow up at?
Michigan.
Michigan? Okay.
Yeah. So my high school friend, we put together a short film, and it did really well, and got a lot of intrigue from family, and we loved doing it. So that was, my first time really acting. But then I didn't act for... almost 4 years throughout the military at all, and I'm a big believer that things happen for a reason. So in the military, I ended up being deployed to Iraq, and I had a ton of mentors, but I had one in particular, John David Crawford, and he basically helped me figure out what I was going to do with my life, and that led me out to California. So after deployment, I went to school. I got out, I went to school, and then got lucky enough to meet some really cool people. Did some student films that led to a feature film.
What was the feature film? Do we know it?
It's called The Runaway, and you can watch it on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
I play the lead, outlaw. And then I was lucky enough to meet Xanthe, and what really attracted me to it was veterans. I mean, that she wanted veterans. That was pretty cool. I never really saw that before in posts or anything like that. And so I went, and I was dealing with a lot of personal things at the time that just kind of clicked for the character.
Are you saying PTSD stuff? Or?
No, it was more non-military related.
Gotcha.
It was just personal things that really connected with what the character had going on as well. And I went in for Jason's role, I believe. And then she was like, do you want to read this other character? And I ended up reading that other character as well. And and that was that. But Jaden, to me, is so opposite of me. He's not. I was kind of the same as Blue in the military. Is like, I was gung ho in the sense of like I wanted to do a good job, but I didn't really. I was bad in the military. I was like bad at following like like shaving and things, small things,
Yeah, they have a tendency to not put up with that.
Yeah,
from my understanding.
So, but yeah, so I mean, the military was just a stepping stone for me, obviously, and I met a lot of great people and had experiences that I'll never forget. But Jaden, what attracts me to Jaden's character and attracted me to the character development of the whole thing is just his process of finding his place in the world. And I think a lot of us as characters in this series are going through that as well, just each in our different ways. But Jaden was so different from me, and it was really cool dropping into that character and learning things like about Mormonism that I never knew, or about, like I have a really good family upbringing and things like that. And when I went into the military, I looked at everybody's family already. And for him, for Jaden, everybody is supposed to be like family. And for him, I think it's hard to accept people wanting to be your family and treating you a specific way, in a certain way. And that's just some of the things that Jaden's dealing with. And in a non-war aspect, there's so much drama that happens on base that is why I think Airmen's such a great story to tell.
Do you think, you mentioned family, and I'll get everybody's input on this, but do you feel that when you're in the military, you're part of a family in a certain sense? You're nodding your head. See, no one can see that.
Absolutely.
The camera,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sitting over here shaking my head up and down because that's all I can do. I mean, even if you despise somebody in the military, you will lay down your life for that person in a moment. Or even if it's not in a war aspect, I mean, everybody has to come together as a team to build a great warship or battalion or anything like that. And so I think you have to come together as brothers and sisters. And like family, you fight, but then you can put all that aside when the time comes and you need to work.
What about you, Blue? You think that's the case, or?
So I have a two-part answer. The first part is yes.
Okay.
It is family oriented, but I started working a lot with special forces, and when you get around like Rangers and SEALs, for me, from my experience, I started seeing what I would call the regular military. What we're talking about feels like family. It's just different when you get to work with special forces,
right?
Because they go beyond what we call family. I think they go, "You're my soul."
Right.
So there's my two-part answer, because I don't want to downgrade I'm going to just say the regular military family feeling.
The ordinary guys.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because it's hard to call it that, but because without that other perspective, I just wouldn't have known it was there. Because a lot of people don't work with special forces, so nobody knows like that type of intensity, living moment to moment.
Right.
And I'm taking like acting, like living truthfully, moment to moment. So, but it's a thing. So in the regular military, definitely has a family feel. To me, it's what I would call more of a regular family feel. Like I argue with my brothers and sisters about dumb shit. Can I cuss on here?
You can now. Fuck
okay. We argue about dumb stuff, or and we're still close, but we can go handle life, you know. But if you're in like special forces, you like everything.
Right, the stakes are higher.
It's
so
just
of course,
every single moment is about like an intensely involved. I don't know. It was just a different feeling. So that's my like two-part like answer to that.
Chloe, is that the same for you? I mean, do you feel that you have a connection with the people that you
absolutely
are still to this day?
Even people that I don't know. As a veteran, you go out and you meet somebody and you find out that they're veteran too. Instantly, there's like this bond.
Yeah,
like
they're just cooler than the other people.
It's just that you feel like you know them because you guys have an understanding. You
talk about latrines together.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't say latrines. Marines say head. We go to the head. But yeah, there's an instant bond because you guys have this shared experience that nobody else will understand.
Jason, what about you? You said that if, correct me if I'm wrong, you said that you kind of try to move past what happened when you were in the military, kind of put it in the back. I mean, do you still have that connection with the people?
See, I'll be full disclosure. Chloe kind of said this just now. I'll give the veterans are the exception to the rule. With civilians, I'm a complete asshole.
Oh my God.
I am, because you've done nothing. Like, why would I help you? Like, I have.
I'm like that too. So we should hang together, but we don't like people. So,
but, when Xanthe had some school questions, I went out of my way and I sent her detailed emails like how to increase her chances of getting into certain programs. Mm. Same for the veterans I've worked with about disability claims. I go on and on and on. But if I'm out in town, I don't talk to you. You're a civilian.
He's antisocial unless you're a veteran.
And they understand. Without even talking to them, I know they understand that. And that's just the way it is. Because, time is your enemy, so I want to spend it wisely.
So you're a people person.
Yeah, if you want to say that. Yeah. If people at Cal Arts are listening, they know it too. When I went to school there, I was a big asshole.
Well, I'm glad you picked an antisocial career then.
It's kind of it's biting me in the butt now, but there's my answer. I'm sticking to it.
Xanthe, as far as the inspiration for this goes, where are you pulling the stories from? Just out of your head? You're writer, director, producer on this as well?
Yes.
And where are you pulling the stories from? Is it personal experience or?
It's a mix of my own personal experiences as well as my friends and what I read. So basically, just any stories that I feel like aren't told and unique to the military that I feel just need to be out there.
Now, what can you tell me about? My assumption is that this is a low-scale production, correct? It's
yes.
not. Yeah. So is there action as far as do we see military action in this thing, or is it more like, for lack of a better word, a soap?
Okay. Well, somewhere in between.
It's a horrible word to use. I know that.
It is. I get.
Yes, a soap.
Yeah, so there's definitely no explosions happening. Just maybe inner explosions, internal ones.
Okay.
But
metaphorically, yeah.
Yes. However, it's a comedy drama. That's the tone that it carries. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't want to go too heavy, and I also didn't want it to be kind of too jokey either. Because I want it to be I think I mentioned before, I'm a huge fan of the Duplass brothers and how they handle this comedy drama, and it always being about the people and connecting with each other. So it's kind of the tone it goes for. Okay.
And how's the funding been for this? How are you funding it?
Oh, so last Monday we launched for our first day on Seed and Spark for crowdfunding. Okay. And we're about 20% right now. Mm-hmm. So our total, our total is supposed to be $47,750. Mm-hmm. So the way it works with Seed and Spark is that they will not give us any of the contributions unless we reach 80%.
Okay.
So I'm hoping the local Santa Clarita community will be interested in joining us.
And that's one of the reasons I had you on. It's not only because you're Santa Clarita. Is everybody here Santa Clarita? Or
yes.
No. Yeah. No.
I'm close. I'm close to here. I've actually coached out here, and
you've driven through the place.
No, I spent a lot of time here. Actually, I spent a lot of time here because my kids, they live in Santa Paula.
Oh, okay.
So I like Santa Clarita. Not trying to just add this just
for the selling point.
No, no, Val Verde. I coached over there. The inner city youth. I love this place. When I say it's different from the Midwest, it's mountains and stuff. So I like hanging out here, but I'm not from here. No, do I?
But Xanthe, are you still from Santa Clarita? Are you still living out here, or did you move?
Oh, I'm still here right now.
Okay, so we'll talk to you, and then we'll talk to Jason because he was Cal Arts person. So no, But that was one of the reasons I wanted to have you guys on. I saw that you guys were following Talk Santa Clarita on Instagram, and I was like, oh, they're shooting a series out here. I should check into it. And then, to my surprise, it was Xanthe. So it's actually being filmed out here in Santa Clarita. Where are you filming it at? Just around, or?
Yeah, it depends on the episode, but for example, we did one at a restaurant here in Canyon Country, and at Cal Arts we've shot there a lot, like in the cafeteria, nurse's office. So just generally around the area here.
Any place you can find.
Yes, because as you know, finding locations is very expensive, so we try to...
You do the Ed Wood thing and just, if the police show up, you run. So... Yes. And when will the first episode launch, do you think? I mean, are you in a situation where, are we... You said you got 4 episodes in the can, and they're in post right now. So do you have a launch date planned for the whole series, or
not yet, because we need to shoot the remaining 9 episodes, and so I want to release those weekly.
I see.
As far as distribution goes, not sure yet. So the goal is to send it to web festivals first, and then we'll see if anything it'll go online, YouTube or Vimeo.
Okay. All right, guys, I want to talk a little bit about just being vets in general. I mean, all of you raised your hand about action, right? Jason, did you? I can't remember if you raised your hand or not.
Yeah, that's why he's so mean.
Is that what's going on there? I'm curious about. I mean, Xanthe's piece seems to be about people being just people in the military. But having seen action, do you guys deal with the demons a little bit? Is it something not to be casual about it, but because it's a serious issue, but is it something that any of you personally have dealt with? Is it something that you've got friends that are dealing with, having seen action and things like that? You're nodding your head, so you know what?
Yes. I didn't see any action,
Yeah.
but I have friends who did, and just from the stories that they've told me, like sometimes I just visualize, when someone tells you a story, you can see it, right? So I can just visualize it, and then I put myself in their position. I see what they're feeling. There's survivor's guilt. There's, just all kinds of emotions that come with experiencing something like that. And just for me hearing it, it affects me. So I can only imagine having seen something,
I want to go back to what Jason said about how acting is kind of therapeutic and an escape. Because I feel the same way, and I saw some combat and things like that, and I had a lot of friends who dealt with a lot of stuff coming back. But when I came back, I didn't really feel any of that. I don't know if I was able to turn things off or what, but I didn't feel it necessary to talk to somebody about anything because I wasn't really having any emotions about that. But when I do feel it, and even like now, unless something comes up about a past time in the military or something, I kind of forget that I was in the military. Like, it just is a part of my past. It's like high school, kind of. You just kind of forget that it is there, and you can connect.
Except there were guns. Well, I don't know. No, never mind. I was almost going for a really terrible joke.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But,
Stop yourself.
I stopped myself, but I think people filled in the blanks.
But
anyway,
at the
go
same
ahead.
time, acting has been very therapeutic for me in that sense, so that I can deal with not necessarily demons that I have, but any of those bits of emotions that may possibly come up, or I can take that and build upon it with my own imagination to then. And I know, like, on set we had some things. It wasn't necessarily war-driven, but it was personal that I needed to connect to. And just like I did with that, it helped me get through certain things that I was trying to get through personally as well. So I think that acting is a very therapeutic and a great outlet for that, but I also think that can be dangerous if you don't know how to do it, and if you don't have a director like Xanthe or somebody who you can fully trust to put yourself fully into that and go to those spaces where it can be a therapeutic and riveting experience, but you got to have a director who can back it up as well.
Well, let's go over to the asshole over here.
Hi.
No, do you find that to be the case as well, as far as acting goes? And
well, I got my degree's in acting, so I understand the professional part of it, and I've been lucky enough to do some gigs. As far as the therapeutic side of it goes, like I said, I just kind of like every day try to move past that. But I keep weapons around all the house. My wife totally used to it now. But yeah, it is. Someone said it before, but it is a sign of PTSD when you're correcting a film while you're watching it. It's totally, you could get that claimed, by the way, because it's not normal.
That's amazing.
It's not normal to do that. You should be able to sit down for an hour and a half and just enjoy a movie.
Yeah.
But since you can't, you should probably get that checked. But I don't know. Honestly, to tell you the truth, when Brandon was talking about it, I kind of was just zoning out because
I don't have to socialize.
I didn't want to open that door. I'm like, oh man, nothing against him. I was like, oh god, here we go again, because you've heard that song before. Sure. As veterans, it's like, oh, I don't want to sing that tune with you. So.
Okay, what tune do you want to sing, Jason?
I'm enjoying, listening to everyone's stories. Yeah. Now I got to go home and watch Straight Outta Compton. I was like, I didn't know Blue was in there. Is that opening scene?
I was in the 2 scenes of the hospital scene where he's on the deathbed. The deathbed, the hospital, because that's how we got all hospitals. No, but I was standing outside the door, and then we had the hallway scene. We shot 2 other scenes, but they didn't use it.
Yeah. Well, to wrap up, it's a dark world when you see stuff out there, and it still baffles me that any government would send people that young to go experience that. There's no price tag on the stuff that they make those kids do.
Do you think your politics changed because of serving?
I don't know. Change, yes. I mean, I'm not left or right, like I said before the podcast, but it's made me aware. Mm-hmm. So I'm involved more locally within my city, and I'm very specific with the decisions I make with my family, my children, So it's made me aware. I get why decisions are made, not that I'm on board with them or not, but I get the itinerary. I get the agenda, I guess I'll say.
Well, Chloe already kind of answered that, but what about you, Blue? What about you, Brandon?
So for me, we're talking about dealing with the aftermaths. So, anybody here grew up in a hood?
I did.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I did,
sir.
I did.
I'm about as white as you can get. So
here's what I
There are white hoods.
There are. Well,
I've heard of them.
They are in the South. Yeah,
there's everywhere, right? So, for me, I was kind of like Chloe, so I was close to action. I mean, I had 3 chances to see, so or to be more intimate with the action, right? So one of my units actually, they went through something. A bullet went through one of our B huts, and a piece of wood chipped his eye. Oh man! And they had to go to Germany because the ricochet was enough to take out the eye.
Oh my God!
Not take it all the way out, but to make them leave. So, like you said, right, hearing stories like that. So that's one example of how close it was for me. I was somebody who went out on FOBs, forward operating bases. I did a lot of that. So I had a lot of chances. I'm just glad my talents or skills were wanted enough by people who already was in built-up areas. Some of my people, they went into non-built-up areas where they had to post their own security, for instance. So I was very close to that chance. With that being said, I also had friends who's been in. One of them just retired probably 2-3 years ago. Him, for instance, I can see how he looks at PTSD or all this other stuff because he's been in. He's like a brother to me. I like his son is my nephew. So after seeing all that, this is what I summed it up to. I'm from Chicago, y'all. The reason I made that joke in the beginning is because yes. When somebody says Chirac, I get what they mean by this. I hate that term, by the way. I don't like it. And that's only because, yes, there is a lot of places that we can go to that can make us feel like we have to do everything in my now to survive.
Right.
That's what the military is. I have to do everything in my now to survive. So I went out there going, oh, this is like home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
the you know, towering bombs.
Oh yeah. No, I got you. I just was kind of taken aback by what you said. So
yeah, the gun violence. There are kids who grow up in those inner cities that are suffering from PTSD.
Gunshots was normal. Gunshots was normal for me growing up.
They've had friends who've died from gun violence. They've had family members.
Families.
Yeah. So this is normal for them.
Yeah.
So when we talk about this, not to try to joke about it, I would personally like to put lightness on this stuff because it doesn't have to be as serious as finding myself over.
Right.
It could just be, that's a different aspect of life.
Right.
So how I'm going about me now is my friends now, they call me Blue Yogi. The ones who know me the closest.
They call you what?
Blue Yogi.
Blue Yogi?
Yes.
That's a great SAG name. Though, so.
That actually is a good entertainment.
So,
right? But they say that because of moments like this, right? Like this could be a very intense thing to talk about.
Sure.
I really would love it not to be that, only because life is life.
Mm-hmm. Before I get to Brandon, I feel like I should apologize because I made that joke about white hoods and I just saying because I'm about as white as it could be. That was probably, actually, it definitely was a little racist, and I want to apologize. I didn't mean it to be. It was just kind of came out. So let me apologize to you right up front about that. I'm sorry. Just like I said, I don't edit these podcasts, so sometimes I say stupid things. Brandon, about yourself, you want to?
Can you refresh me on the question?
Well, I was wondering.
I
was curious about the reason I bring it up is there are a lot of vets that live out here in Santa Clarita, and most of them are Vietnam vets that I know that I've met, and they're very conservative in their politics in general. Not all of them, but some of them are. And I'm just curious if your politics were changed from seeing action, from being in the military itself, and how it affected you.
For me, I mean, I'm not very politically heavy anyway. Like it's not a discussion that I usually get into with people because it's so passionate of an argument or a debate that sometimes, especially in LA, I feel like maybe I'm just not going to bark up that tree. So, but no.
The simple answer is no.
Change going in, I've always been kind of a Democrat, and coming out, stayed. And it's funny though too because my family's split.
Are they?
My father's side is one way, my mother's side's one way, and then I'm just kind of in the center, like, hey, I'll do whatever. So, but yeah, so in the short term.
Okay. How is Xanthe as a director?
She's amazing.
Is she? Why? What is it about her?
Because literally. So I've done a lot of projects, and giving the actor the ability to find a character is the best thing any director can do for an actor, and it's because that's our freaking job.
Yeah.
Like when a director tries to tell us, like, what to do with the character overall,
or how to do it, and
it's not. It doesn't feel good. It's not effective. I don't think. I'm an acting coach, so I don't think that's effective. So she does it really good. She surprised me with the amount of exercises and things that she just gives to her actors, and then she just like what Brandon mentioned. She has so much trust. And that goes past like being an actor. That goes like being like a human and shit. So for me, that's my answer.
And I think she sets up before we get on set. In rehearsal, she sets it up so that we get to have that fun. We get to play around and find our characters ourselves under her supervision, so that when we get on set, she doesn't have to tell us, okay, this is what you have to do, because we just know. Because by that point, we've figured it out together. We've sat. She said, "Okay, let's try this way. This worked. This didn't work. Let's go here." And so by the time we get on set, she's directing the crew really, and giving us what we need as actors. But we've already been through it in rehearsal, which was awesome.
Yeah, she sets us up nicely. Beforehand we go through improv exercises, and the script is sometimes not used at all. She's just like,
really?
Let's do this where you're at the movies and you guys are going to go on a date for the first time. Go.
And you just improv it out?
Right, and then from that exercise, we we figure out things about us and our relationship.
Right.
And then we look at the script, and we kind of bring those things from the exercises into the script. And she will ask, why do you think this character does this? Now, she wrote it.
Right.
And she knows these answers, but she's giving us the ability to bring something more.
Yeah.
So when we answer the question, she's like, I like that. Like, keep it,
Xanthe, where did that playfulness? I mean, my experience when I was in CalArts was I was like Jason. I was an asshole. No, I mean I was very like, you have to stick to my script. You have to do the words. I was like thinking I was going to be Billy Wilder. But. And now you see. But I'm just curious where you learn to direct the way you direct.
I guess when I think about it, it comes with how much I love actors in general.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up loving movies, and I am one of those people who kind of like actors. Wow, they're so cool, and I think what they do is so amazing and vulnerable, most of all. And I just want to give them what they need. Like I definitely prioritize actors the most in the filmmaking. Sorry to the cinematographer and who else, but
you don't have the Hitchcock view of actors, which was they are cattle.
Yeah, so it's mostly
that's a Hitchcock quote, not me. I didn't say that. Hitchcock did.
That's what you were in CalArts?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, definitely don't have that mentality. Definitely no cattle here.
Yeah.
And I just really respect actors first and foremost, and I really appreciate what they do.
What do you? Let's go around the room again, but let's start with you, Xanthe. What do you think is the biggest challenge for a vet these days?
Oh, it's a good question. Biggest challenge for a vet,
or someone that's in the military, currently, or something like that. What do you think they face beyond the actual combat situation? Personal choice.
I guess, like for me personally, it felt like joining the military straight out of high school, being totally naive about the world, and figuring out who you are, and then also having a huge commitment to your country, pretty much. I feel like that's the biggest struggle is, just growing up, coming of age in the military, and how you deal with that.
Okay, Brandon, Blue, do you want to comment on that?
Well, I haven't been in a long time, but for active, from what I know, from the people that I still talk to and stuff, I feel like it's gotten a lot softer. Boot camp and just in general, they've kind of laxed on certain things, and I think that can be a challenge in itself because, like, one thing I loved about the military was like 3 hots in a cot. You knew what you were doing when you woke up, and you knew what you were doing when you go to bed. You know? And I don't know. I think that it's just starting to get a little lazy. I haven't been in a long time, so I'm just speaking off of what I've heard and what I've saw. But and as a veteran, the biggest challenge, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, obviously, but I know that it's hard for a lot of people to, if they haven't been to war or something like that, to accept gratitude from people, like you're a hero, or thank you for your service, or this or that. Like, I think that can sometimes be challenging for veterans too.
Well, I'm going to thank you for your service and tell you you're a hero before this podcast is over. And I mean that very sincerely. I really consider all of you be heroes, and I do thank you for your service. My general attitude is, thank God you're here. I don't have to do it as a result. Latrine issues.
Blue, and the latrine.
Yes, yeah. Blue, what about you? Biggest challenge for someone in the military, besides personal? I guess.
I like what I'll combine both of theirs. For me, it's like how I sum it up now is just finding your identity. For me, I joined at 17, and then when I got out, I just didn't know how to be a civilian. Like, that was it. I just didn't know how to be a civilian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're a kid. I mean, 17. You are a kid, man.
Yes.
And when you're signing up, so
and it's two complete different like lifestyles. So as a veteran, I got out and I was homeless for 2 years, and then my friend told me about this organization called PATH, and they helped me. So
Katie Hill, the congressional candidate, used to head.
Yes.
Do you know Katie?
I probably heard the name through the grapevine because I was trying to be very involved with them as far as I wanted to help Path even more because they were helping me.
Okay.
I was like, this is awesome. What can I do more? Mm-hmm. So I guess as a veteran, it would be this. It's knowing what resources is out there, and just having like a little organization or a group like so I'm going to segue a little bit. So VFT, that's where I believe Xanthe found me. VFT, Veterans in Film and Television, is now VME, Veteran Media Entertainment, something like this. So that community, it felt so good, just like hanging out with the community of like who we're doing a civilian thing, but then we can have this community where we actually have stories we can talk about. Like that just did something to the identity, psyche, whatever we want to call it by itself for me. So for veterans, I say having like communities where we can intertwine civilian and veterans. That's what this show is for. It's to hopefully be so. It's talking about military, but it feels like it's just like just people. So that civilians can be involved. So it's really combining that, because maybe if you're not just wanting to talk to veterans only, like my boy Jason, maybe you want to kick it with civilians, right. But maybe you don't really know how. Right. Yeah. So for me, it'll be that the whole identity situation.
Chloe?
So I have a couple. And I think just because my experience as a woman in the military is very, very different, and just like you pointed out, like, well, I wouldn't expect you to say Marines, because when you think Marines, you think...
And I think I owe you an apology. I'm just going to go around the room and apologize to everybody.
This is very common, though. People, because they have this idea that, first off, military is a man's world, right? But if there's a woman in the military, then she must be big and strong and, manly. But that's not the case, right. And also not just the appearance, but the attitude, how you act. I was always confronted about being quiet. I need to be loud and bossy, and that's not who I am. I can get the job done without being loud, but if you're a Marine, you're expected to be that way. And then also transitioning out of the military. For anybody, whether you've seen a war zone or not, it's difficult, because you've spent, like they said, you're a teenager. You don't really know who you are.
And I guess in a certain sense, it's a lot of every day. Someone's always telling you what to do. Right,
exactly. It's kind of programming you.
You're programming. Brandon said something about always knowing what you were going to have to do.
Right.
And suddenly you're free.
Right, and you don't know what to do. And your experience as an adult is just military. So when you get out, you're like, how do I transition? What can I do in the civilian world that I'm good at? Because I can't issue ammunition. I don't have any experience. So that is difficult. And for those who have experience, some kind of PTSD or something, there's no way to get help.
Right.
Well, and I'm not going to say, because there are programs to help, but you are in, and then you're out. And when you're out, you're expected to live life normally as a civilian, and the transition is just not that easy. So, there are all kinds of challenges, and that's the good thing about being connected with other veterans, because we can kind of help each other.
What about you, Jason?
It's fun listening to these stories. They told me this pretty good advice in war. The only way to survive it is to imagine that you're dead already.
That is so dark.
Because if you go into
dark,
this is what I'm the asshole, right? So.
Going around the room, I'm going to apologize to you for calling you an asshole.
So fast forward, I have a Marine I served with who last week put this on the social media just about ending his life, and comments started flooding in, and half the comments were veterans telling him, "I get it." He's a father. He has a 7-8-year-old little girl. And I don't know if he's still with us or not. I don't want to check it. And the other half was his family. I love you. Get some help. Here's the hotline. But I guess what I'm saying, what I'm putting out there is you get it. You go through an experience like that, and sometimes, and I'm not even demeaning life, like that's his decision to make. And as I understood why all the veterans were like, I get it, because when you see it so many times through, something takes over your mind. He gets it. He's a father, beautiful daughter, beautiful marriage, and beautiful situation. But sometimes your mind goes to this other place, and when it's there, it's kind of like it's no man's land, and that's why I could see why veterans are like, I get it. So to answer your question, that I won't say it's the hardest thing, but it's the thing people don't fully understand about when people in general go through something so traumatic. It's their concept of life changes, and that's what I want to say.
So Xanthe, you don't have any idea as to when we might see this series?
It all depends.
We need money.
Yes.
You have money.
In a nice, subtle way.
So, yeah, that's the first thing, the campaign that we're trying to raise funds for.
Right.
I hope people will join us. And also, I'm starting my first year at USC, so I have to see how crazy that's going to be. Mm-hmm. But, of course, this is my passion project, and I care about all these people, so...
were you guys all familiar with Xanthe's history as the McRib girl?
Yes.
I found out at my audition, or before my audition, I was looking her up, and I found out, and I fell in love with her.
How can you not love it? I think there's a couple 100,000 hits on McRib girl on my on the Talk of Santa Clarita YouTube channel. People just keep finding her and looking it up and making comments.
I had no idea. I think I had shot my first maybe 2 episodes, and then I found out, and I was like, "What? Xanthe?
I know.
Oh my gosh, she's hilarious."
Yeah. Has she sung McRib Blues for you yet?
No, Xanthe.
Yeah. So I joke about it just because she when I first met her, it was a situation where I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know how serious she was, or if it was performance art or anything. And she came in and she had her pink hair and the glasses and sang the song, and I just thought, it was like it's the Weird Al Yankovic from Cal. And now I'm going to apologize to you, Xanthe. But no, I mean, but like I said, she really championed it and brought it back, and she's kind of a folk hero now in Santa Clarita as a result. So, and I love that you're doing this series. So,
thank you.
So, so what is there like an actual specific web address to find for funding for this?
Oh yes, so it'll be seedandspark.com/fund/airmen. That's AIRMEN.
You will send me the link so I can put it up on the website.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Guys, let's go around the room, and as we close things out here, how many of you have tattoos?
I have one tattoo on my back.
What is it of?
It's the theater faces, the smile now, cry later.
Okay.
Faces. I got it when I was active duty. I wasn't supposed to.
Brandon, any tattoos?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
If you were going to get a tattoo, what would it be?
So...
wow.
They can't see it, but... On the back of Converse shoes, Chuck Taylor specifically, they have an all-star on the heel.
Like that?
Like that, exactly. Yeah. I'm going to get that on both my heels.
Okay, perfect. We also just learned how flexible you are.
I was like, wait a minute.
He just lifted his leg behind his head.
Yeah. Chloe,
I don't have any tattoos.
If you're going to get a tattoo, what would it be?
I would not get a tattoo.
You would not get a tattoo?
No.
Okay. And
like
Jason, I see you have a tattoo. What is it of?
It says rest in peace, Gabriel Janice. So rest in peace is kind of self-explanatory. I'll leave it there. And there's a tattoo down my spine of my last name. And my uncles just make fun of me for it.
Your last name? Is that in case you forget it or something?
On his back.
So somebody else can see it? So somebody else can see it?
They make fun of me. We'll just...
oh my God.
So I'm going to... here's what we're going to do, okay? And one of you guys has got to tell a joke. So think about the joke, and while I go around the room apologizing to everybody for something. Xanthe, I'm sorry I brought up the McRib girl and the Weird Al Yankovic comment. Brandon, I'm sorry I forgot your name at the beginning of this. I'm I very sincerely apologize about the comment about a white hood kind of thing. It was stupid and asinine. So, Chloe, next time I'll tell you that you're very unattractive and let you know. And Jason, well, you kind of are an asshole. But, no, I'm kidding. No, seriously, I do apologize for saying that. So who has a joke for me? Who has a joke? Any type. I'll take any type.
I got nothing.
Your actors, improv one.
What did the elephants think about the circus?
I don't know.
It was intense.
All right. Xanthe, we wish you much luck for doing this, and we hope to see it very, very soon. Guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming over here and
Thanks
doing
for having
this.
us.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
for
for
having
having
us.
And
awesome.
we hope you guys enjoyed the talk.
You've been listening to The Talk of Santa Clarita. A new podcast is available for download every Tuesday. Questions, comments, and show ideas can be sent to thetalkofsantaclarita@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @thetalkofsc and on Facebook The Talk of Santa Clarita. You can also visit our website at thetalkofsantaclarita.com. This has been a production of Radio Free Santa Clarita. On the air and very much aware.
Any questions? Dins? 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 Dins?